Okay, everybody, we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. I almost said good morning. Maybe I have more energy than you guys do right now. It's been a good day. It's been a good day. My name is Marcy Martin. I'm the owner of Write Like That. I'm one of the consultants for the DBEs. I'm here today to moderate the session for Denise. B. Denise Patton launched BDP and Associates, a performance management consulting firm, in 1999. Patton has established the firm as a local and national consulting resource within the public and private sectors. BDP and Associates specializes in organizational development and workforce development. She's a certified organizational assessment consultant through the Nonprofit Management Fund, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, trained in organization assessment and development, systems evaluation, instrumentation, and board and staff development. Ladies and gentlemen, Denise.
Thank you. I am so pleased that so many people showed up. And we're going to have some fun, because this isn't but a 50 minutes that I've got to give you a message worthwhile to walk away with. So it's not a lot of sitting down at all. One of the things that I want to just make sure we have a good sense of is the basic messages, but I have a resource that I have here. You're welcome at the end. Oh, can't hear me. As loud as I am. Okay. I have a resource that this session today is based upon, Susan Rohn. Some of you may know the information. This is the most updated that she's upgraded the idea and the context of how to work a room. And so if you would like to take that information when you leave today, you can actually, she's got CR codes, you can clip, find out and get workshops and do some other things. But I want you to know that this isn't Denise's original, it's just her DP interpretation and demonstration for you all today. I would like to see, everybody has a card, I would hope by now. If you don't have a card, we have some others. So I've been doing this work for about 20 years now, and I've tried to stay relevant. And most of it is interactive, and what happens when you try to help people learn how to do something, you can't sit and talk to them all day about doing it. You want to get them up doing it. So that's why our start today is with an activity that gets you out of your seats to do some of what I'm trying to get you to think about doing as it relates to how to work a room. This is normally a 2.5-hour session, so I'm on speed control right now. But if I'm saying and talking too fast and you don't understand what I'm saying, just zero in on me, let me know, I'll slow down and we can make sure you hear what needs to be said. But again, today's session is how to work a room, and let's see, how to work a PowerPoint. Let's see. I should have asked, what's our forward motion? All right. See, I'm from old school. I'll go over there and the arrow will get me where I need to go. Somebody knows? Okay, so basically what you're looking at is a little bit about what the session objectives are. I'm not going to read them. You can take a look, get a feel for why we're here. I judge what I do based upon if you leave and feel like you've gotten out of the session what I built it to be. And that's just the way I do my objectives. So during our time together today, that's what I hope which one is it?
It was not on.
Oh, it wasn't on. Okay, thank you. So one of the things that I want to just make sure that you guys take a look at, and this is me just being what I call looking at yourself in the mirror, because the nature of how to work a room is to start with a little bit of assessment about how do you do it now? How do you walk into a room full of strangers, people who may not look like you, may not sound like you, and how do you do? Recently I was in Ghana, Africa, and we went to a dinner meeting, and at the meeting you walked into a room with people who spoke English but as a second language, and you didn't know quite how to walk in there and which people spoke English and which didn't, but you had to have the as Susan says, chutzpah, to walk over and just do what you do in English, and if they spoke English, you're good to go. If not, you tried something else. The one word we learned as a tour group of how to say good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. And past that, you're on your own. So, but here's a couple of points I just want you guys to remember about self-perception, self-confidence, and particularly self-esteem, because that's all it's really involved when you have to engage with strangers, people you don't know, in addition to some other things that I'll leave as little points for yourself. But this is one of the places where I'd like you to do a little bit of reflection for just 30 seconds and a little bit of assessment of yourself. If you had to rate yourself on where you are in these, and now you get out your seat, I'd like to see high there, middle, and low over here. Move out your seats. You guys gotta come on out. Over here, if you rate yourself high, middle, if you rate yourself medium, low, if you rate yourself low. You're rating yourself on how do you see yourself in terms of your current today, concepts of yourself in terms of looking at these elements. We got high over there, we got in the middle, and then we got low over here. If right now you're rating yourself low in these areas about your feelings of meeting new people, engaging with strangers. So I have some people in the back there. I don't think that's a spot. We got high over here, right? We got in the middle here. I'm middle ground, how I am, okay? And then we got low over there. So, question? So here's the deal. I'm just simply asking you to think about your own personal self, right? You walk into a room full of strangers. Like for me, all of you are strangers. There's only a few people in this room I know. But I'm gonna make sure that you remember me from smiling at you, from engaging with you, from telling you my name. Hi, I'm Denise Patton. How are you? Pleased to meet you. Love your earrings. That's for real. So that's just where it is, and you rate yourself. So in the middle, these are the people who pretty much say, I'm pretty comfortable, right? I don't really have too much of a problem. People over here say, I don't have any problem. I could go in the room full of strange people any day, any time. Oh, by the door so you can escape real quick. This is just a self-assessment. That's where you start. Between the two? You're like 90%. Okay, all right. Well, you know, I mean, the thing is, people who rate themselves low over here, right? You guys say, I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. But these are areas where you just do more talking to yourself and get yourself going. I have a friend who said before big events, she'd come to these kind of functions, and whenever she had to engage, she would go in the bathroom and look in the mirror and start talking to herself and pumping herself up, and then cry, and then wipe her face, and then come out and with all confidence. Whatever you gotta do, you know, it's knowing yourself well enough to know where your growth place is, what things make you most uncomfortable, and what things you can bear and tolerate and make changes in. So that's one of the first activities I wanted you guys to do. The second activity is, you all got cards, right? 2 dots on those cards. I'd like you to walk around and find the people who have the same color on your card. And when you find that person or those people, here's your instructions on the screen. Thank you guys for so much cooperation. I know for some of you it may have been excruciating, you know, raising your anxiety a little bit, but that's normal. But if you could see $1 million worth of opportunity to go into a crowd of new people, would you go? And would you work on what can I do differently? And some of it is self-talk, some of it is removing roadblocks which I'll point out a few of those shortly, that we've all grown up with. And sometimes those roadblocks are the things that create an environment in which we're not comfortable. And I want to pick on, where'd he go? Oh, I'll find you in a minute. So we had a person who just stood in the place of his seat and held up his card. I'm picking on somebody, I can't find him. Where'd he go? Did he leave me? He might have left me. There he is. But guess what? Well, what happened after you worked on it a little bit?
Yeah, I wasn't scared. I just thought we had to get together as a group, so I was calling out my green people over like that.
Oh, good answer. So your thoughts and feelings about this. I just want a couple people who are willing to share. You know, did you meet some new people? What's your thoughts? And I saw people in awkward moments that they worked on it. Got somebody back there.
It's on. Hi, my name is Greg. I was hiding in the corner back here, observing everyone. But then as I listened to everybody open their dialogues with everyone, it reminded me of in my drinking days, I'd go to a tavern, how quiet it was when we first started the discussion. And then as everyone started opening up, relaxing, everyone got louder and the music went louder and seen different ones kind of dancing around. I mean, that's what I observed during this exercise. So.
Wonderful. And you worked the room, though. You worked the room.
Love it.
Yeah, you did. I saw you go from corner to corner. Anybody else want to share who you met? Somebody new? Tell me who you met new, what you learned. We only got 50 minutes, so come on. Amber, where are you? Anybody else meet Amber? Look at there, Amber. Now, aren't you guys collecting new people that you're meeting here at the conference? Hey. You met Adam. Where's Adam? All right, Adam. Anybody else meet Adam? One person, Adam? Okay, two people. Well, you worked the room a little bit. That's not bad. Not bad. You at least. Anybody else?
I met Dodson Hong, HNTV.
HNTV, who? Ah, okay. What's the first name? Dawson? Dustin. Sorry, Dustin. Who else met Dustin? Oh, okay. Dustin did a little work. All righty, great. So, you know, I think it's important that we take a moment to be clear on what do I mean by work a room, because sometimes people confuse it with networking. But real networking requires some strategic movement, strategies, deliberate communications, and engagement. Whereas work in the room is more socializing because there's like a ton of rooms that you work. Parties, social, bar mitzvahs, weddings, funerals, you know, but it all goes with engaging with people in a room you may not know and finding time to get to know them. Networking, you have a particular direction that you're headed in the engagement. So I just wanted to be clear on what I'm talking about today as what's the definition of work in a room? And it's a little bit different than networking. So some of you probably already know this. You do well when I ask you to position yourself, you know, your own interpretation or definition of working a room is what you took, and the orientation to that is where you decided you would stand. So if you look at this definition up here, would you stand differently from high, medium, low? Anybody? Given this definition, did you assess yourself pretty much on the basis of what this suggests as what does it really mean to work a room and how you assess yourself? Okay. And where did you stand? In the middle. Okay. Because what's important is where you see yourself in order to decide where you want to go and how you want to strengthen it or grow. Okay, anybody else? Excuse me. Looking at this definition, would you change your position from high, low, or high, medium, or low? How about some of the folks that were low? Would you look at this definition and still stand in the low? Or would you move over to the medium? Or maybe the high? Just jump right over the high. No? It's important to know, as I said, what we're talking about when we talk about working a room. Because we're going to have another activity. But working the room is not networking, like I said. And to be clear, there are some people who are excellent at mingling, and that means they can walk and move and go among the crowd, but they're not so good networkers. As long as everything stays light, they don't have to follow up with the person later, they don't have to engage in such a way that you really exchange information, they're okay. That's the great mingler in working the room. But then there are others who are fabulous at exchanging their information, talking about what, commonalities we have. Let's meet for coffee, let's meet for lunch, talk about our business. But when it comes to just being comfortably social and moving around, some of those great networkers are not so great in terms of working the room and mingling. And that's why it's important, because sometimes, you've heard people talk about the golf course and all the business done on the golf course and all that good stuff. That's true if you are both a good mingler and a good networker. Because you could be on that golf course talking about nothing, small talk, having a great time, and everybody think you're a great person, they had fun with you, and that's the end of that. But at the same time, if you leave that golf course and you left an impression, you collected some information, you gave out some information, and you created a path for future follow-up and connection, that's the networking piece. And that's the thing that sometimes people are not comfortable with, going the next distance. Where is my friend today I met at lunch? Tell me your name again, I forgot. In the back there, behind you. Yes. Uh-huh. I just wanted to know your name. Okay, so here's where you have to really have a good sense for working the room and being able to keep it real, because he's not the person I thought I was talking about. He's not. He just happens to have on a gray jacket and a white shirt, and I'm like, okay, now I got to look around the room and see, okay, I think he's not here anymore. He was here, okay. But, hey, you work a room and you go up and you go, hi, Madeline, and then you say, no, it's Karen. What do you do? I'm terrible with names. How you doing, Karen? Good to see you, good to meet you. I mean, it's those kinds of social engagements that some people are fearful of making a mistake. There he is. He took his jacket off. I was about to, yes. What are you doing, lady? So I was about to use you as an example of, the difference between networking and just working a room. So I met him at lunch today. I did not have a card on me. He had a card. I asked for a card, and I said to him, I will email you my information. Now, real networking means I will email him my information. Socializing means we had a great conversation. He gave me his card, and I can say I met him. But you will get my email, for sure. Don't know how in the future our connecting could make a difference between what he does in his business and what I do in mine, but you got to follow it through. But again, that's networking. That's not socializing and kind of working the room. All right, here's the next activity. In the book, Susan discusses reasons why work in a room can be so challenging, and I mentioned a couple of them. Sometimes it's just how you've been raised and what you've been used to, what kind of family you come from. I come from a loud family. I come from a family, we talk over each other, and people from quiet families think we're arguing and fussing and upset with each other. Sometimes I have to be very careful with my voice because people don't always take it to be okay. They hear the tenseness or something that make them think I'm mad about something. But I promise you, I'm not a mad black woman. When I'm mad, you know, for sure. But those are things that, you know, we got to know about ourselves to know how to be engaging in a room with people who are different than ourselves. And you don't know them. You don't know where people come from. And you don't want to make the wrong kinds of assumptions. So she discusses in the book some of the roadblocks, and I want to make sure that you guys get a sense of some of those roadblocks. But before we do that, let's talk confidence again. Now I'm pushing for you to do another little bit of assessment, right? But this time, I want it to be, as you see the rankings up here, if you rate yourself in terms of confidence, how confident are you walking into a room, strange room, a room full of strange people, strangers, I should say, not strange people, but could be strange people too, but strangers, people you don't know. Is there a level of confidence that you could assess yourself on today with this rating that I have up here? 1 to 4 is low, 5 to 7 is medium, and 8 to 10 is high. So this time, we're going to put the medium people over there. We're going to put the high people in the middle, and we're going to let the low scoring still remain on that side. But the task I actually have for you to do, I'll tell you. Well, I already told you. It's up there. I want you to be able to first assess yourself, really do a fair job of saying how confident. Now, I call myself confident. My brother used to say I'd talk to a broom if it had lips to talk back. Because I played school by myself. When you got an older brother that can't play with you, you know, you make up your own stuff to do. So I talk to my dolls, and I learned to talk to just talking. And in school, it got me in trouble, but in my business, it helps me make money. So what can I say? But my confidence in engaging with people I don't know, people who don't look like me, who don't sound like me, I rate myself as a 9. Because no matter how much experience I have and credibility in my own work that I do to help others, there is a time and place where I have engaged in a room full of people that I had to self-talk. I was in a room full of CEOs, and most of them were white males. I was a black woman with braids, not a CEO, not even $1 million bank account for my business. And I had to tell myself, they're just men. And because I talked to myself from that point to say, and they're just men with money. Okay, and I want money. So go in there and do your due. And that just inside myself, inside my head, it pumped me up enough that I could walk in the room as if I also was $1 million. Yeah, I'm $1 million. How you doing? Good to see you, good to see you. Yeah, how you doing? Pleased to meet you, pleased to meet you. Huh? Talk to you later. All right then. Broke as a joke, but they don't know it. But if you work a room like that, you come out of that space feeling confident in yourself that you did it. You didn't have to pretend. I never told them I was not a millionaire or I wasn't a CEO or any of that. And if they assumed it because I walked the walk and the confidence that I exuded, then so be it. It wasn't anything I told them to think about. So let's do for a moment. What's our time? No. Where's my time? What's my time? Left? Good. I'm doing well. I'm talking a mile a minute here. But anyway, so let's do this one for a minute. And then this is called helping each other. So I want the middle, medium, where is that? The 5 to 7 ratings over here, the 8 to 10 in the middle, and the 1 to 4 over here. So get out your seats again. Self-assessment, self-rating. All right, all right. See, I promised the folks who brought me in that I would make sure this group was not asleep at the 3 o'clock hour after lunch. And I don't see anybody asleep yet. Wonderful. All righty, so here's a couple things. Again, I can't go into any detail, but I want you to remember that if you are seriously interested in learning more about how to work a room with some of the points I brought up today with many, many more in here, this is the book that you can have. There is an online version. Sorry, there's an online version. I think sometimes I talk so loud I think everybody can hear me, but I'm not gonna assume that. So here's the book, if you want to take a look at it after we're done today. But here's what Susan talks about in terms of roadblocks. And you could probably identify with that very first one. How many of us were told, don't talk to strangers? I know I was. And if you grow up, thinking, don't talk to strangers, how do you battle going into a room of strangers? Because subliminally, even if you are 35 or 45, and not 6 anymore, you still have that thinking in the back of your head about talking to strangers. And you have to self-talk yourself, as she says here, with the idea of redefine strangers. So I redefine strangers, people that I see that I don't know in the dark. I don't talk to them. People that, I don't want to say that one. That's the personal one. People that, are in a room and nobody else is talking to them. That's a stranger that I don't talk to. But otherwise, I start to recognize people are only strangers for as long as you haven't had an introduction. And that's how I define it. Wait to be properly introduced. We heard that one, right? Work in a room means you go up and introduce yourself. You don't wait to be introduced. You don't stand off in a corner and wait for somebody to come and say, hi, my name is Bob, what's your name? Nope, it's not gonna happen. You'll be in that corner all by yourself for a while. And people see you standing in the corner might perceive that what you're saying with your nonverbal is you don't want anybody to bother you. Good things come to those who wait. Susan said, move from a guest behavior to a host. Like you saw me walk and introduce myself to people. You can do that, even if it's not your party. You can still move around a room, introduce yourself, find some interesting people. And I believe I saw lots of evidence here this afternoon that you've met and found some interesting people. Yes? Okay. Let me see your hands, if that's a yes. That's for the camera. Evidence, which is always true. Better safe than sorry. So that's the part where, a rude situation comes up, an uncomfortable situation. Susan says, just walk away and treat it as if they've got COVID. Move away. And that's a DP interpretation. She didn't say that about COVID. She said the flu. And then, you're free to leave an engagement that is not comfortable for you. You could always say, excuse me a minute. I used to say, excuse me, I'll be right back. But that was a lie, because I had no intentions on coming back. And so I started saying, that's not professional. Don't tell the person you're coming back. Just say, excuse me. And so that's what I practice, just moving away. Then she talks about he or she only wants one thing. Now, thank you. So that's where your situation comes up where, for young ladies or women in here, your mom or your auntie or your female leader in your family tell you, be careful, because sometimes guys come up to talk to you and they just want one thing, or if you're familiar with Lauryn Hill's record. I saw some smiles. They know. Guys, they don't. Okay, anyway. So that's the one where, don't be perceived or have a perception that just because a female or a male or a woman or a man is interested in you, or a woman and a woman interested in you, or whoever, the come on doesn't always mean they want something from you other than to get to know your name, what you do, who you are, and find you out to be an interesting person. But sometimes that's a really roadblock for some people. They're uncomfortable with people trying to come on. And they think that in a room full of strangers, when guys are coming on or ladies are coming on, whether it's lady to lady, man to man, whichever is your pleasure, it doesn't mean that. Sometimes it means they just want to meet you and know your name and where you're from, and that's it. And so that's the one that sometimes is a barrier. Then there's cultural barriers in that same category, where if you were taught that you never make the first move, then you don't feel comfortable going into a situation where you make that first move. But if you're going to work a room, sometimes you got to make the first move and not feel like you're being promiscuous or whatever may be the case. So, does it make sense? Your thoughts, insights before we shift gears. Now we're ready. Any thoughts? Well, she uses that as, if you know football, right? And so you see it coming, and you see it's coming from the other team. The ball is coming from the other team, and you make your way, and you see it, and you dip in, however you get it, go around it, but you intercept the pass. Say, nope, you're not talking to me today. Or I don't want to talk to you today. You see it coming and you intercept it. It could be, here's a good one I've used before. Somebody was coming towards me that I didn't particularly want to engage, and they were coming toward me, and I said, hey, I'm glad you showed up. I went right past them, right? They thought I was after, and the person that I'm saying that to, they're looking at me like, what? But that person can't see them. It's right past them, and I'm gone. And then I have to go over to the other person to say, oh, I thought you were someone else. But it's all about working the room in a way that you don't offend people, you don't feel bad, you don't insult anybody. And what I wanted to leave with you guys is just a couple things about payoffs. There are payoffs, professional payoffs for developing the skill set or strengthening your skill set in working a room. Then there's also personal payoffs for working a room. Looking at the opportunity for personal gain, for personal, comfort, self-confidence. Let me pause for a second. What did you learn? And this is open to anybody that wants to respond. What did you learn from the people who rank their confidence as high? What did you learn in that engagement with the people, the high and low people? Anybody from that group? You want to share? Come on. There we go. Stand up for me, please. Absolutely. Did you all hear her? Let me paraphrase and tell me if I'm right. She said even though the people who rated themselves high, it still was an issue. They still have issues. They're not 100% perfect, right? Did I say that right? Okay. Anybody else? What else did you learn from, what did the medium to medium folks, what did you learn? Anybody? Randy. This is what I call pick on people you know. What do you think folks learned from you when they engaged? What did you share?
Just on that verge. just on the verge of being medium, but the bottom line is that I don't care. That I'm uncomfortable around people. I just go there. My wife's, we have such a huge difference because she's on the other end of the spectrum.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because I saw that. But one would never know, because what he just said about his wife being on the, because she's always friendly, she's always smiling. When she's in a room, you don't feel anything but positivity. And ultimately, that's what you want when you come into a room. It's just that you don't want to be a wallflower. You don't want to be someone that everybody is looking at and wondering why you're standing over in the corner by yourself, not talking to anybody, because then you're not working the room. And then there are what she calls 7 strategies for working a room. Just a few things to think about. Now, the details of all of these, of course, are in the book, and I'm not selling her book. I'm just telling you where I got it from. If I had the 2.5 hours with you, I would have given you much more of these details. But she offers these strategies for things like cocktail parties and social scenes, business, the sit-down meal, the stand-around, the office party, the fundraiser, the reunion, the trade show or convention. The digital rooms, same thing. The diverse room, and many, many more rooms that she offers in this book to talk about why these things are important. So I'm leaving you in hand with what she calls the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments of connecting. And I found it to be a useful information piece that I wanted to share with all of you, because if you can walk away today and you've gained something and you're taking away a little bit something on how to feel more confident, comfortable, and engaging in a room full of strangers, then this session was well worth your time spent. And so if you want to be reviewing and catching up on some of the things that I said and some of the things I didn't say, I'm leaving you with the handout that you have there to remind you of what this conversation today was all about with us. And as I always try and leave any group that I'm working with, to let you know that it is definitely my pleasure to have served. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions they want to ask? Hang on, Tunji, I'm coming.
Thank you. I do have a question, thank you. Because I wanted to say that, one's confidence level, it depends on, certain,
Depends on what?
depends on certain situations that you may not have control over. For instance, if you are, and I don't know how far this is true. If you are going to give a presentation, like what you are doing right now, and you have to use things like electronics, things like that, and you walk into the room, not fully prepared, or you have not tested it, and you just go straight to the instrument, put it on, and then you hear nothing, and your time is starting to run. I mean, of course, even the most confident person will lose that confidence level.
You better believe it.
How do we overcome that?
Well, let me tell you this. I anticipated about 22 people to show up in here today. So I made 22 cards. That's just how much I anticipated, 22 people, if that many. And when all of you started piling in here, I'm thinking, okay. So I want to make sure that these people in the totality of the group get everything that 22 people was going to get. And it just helped calm me down, that it wasn't anything that I had planned for the 22 that this number couldn't take advantage of as well. But I had to tell myself that, because I had started in my brain, it was going to be this little small group of people, yada, yada. And it didn't happen that way. It was like, whoa. So that's how I did it. I just self-talked.
My name is excuse me. My name is Action Jackson, CEO or founder of JYC. But something that I learned was even the smalls can think big. It's just a matter of time. So the thing about it is just over time you're gonna build confidence with experience.
Practice.
You're right. So at the end of the day, you might not feel where you should be at in 10 days, year, whatever, but just build that confidence, soar yourself to the top. Eventually you can move from one person to the room to the third person to the room and move all the way around the room. And then at the end you'll look back and say, man, that was a bunch of confidence I just built up. Now you can be ready for the world.
Absolutely. Would you all agree with what he said? I would too, 100%. You got to get out there and get and do it. You know, like Nike said, just do it. And you'll see the confidence build up because other people will help that happen as well. When you all were talking to each other, I could imagine that some of you realized, I'm confident in this engagement, in this exchange. You know, I might not have thought I would be coming into this, but I'm good. You know, and then the other person's response to you also helps build the confidence and the comfort zone. I mean, it could go the opposite, but most times it'll be positive.
Okay, one more question and then
One
we'll
more
wrap up.
question.
It's a little bit more of a comment,
I like
like my
comments,
friend
insights.
Action Jackson over here. And you might find yourself in an environment where you think you're not confident, but you might find some unique connections to that group, to that environment. So just maintaining some curiosity about it, some genuine curiosity. I found myself last year, I had to go to a gathering of attorneys. I'm not an attorney. And so I'm like, how am I going to fit into this group? You know, is anything that they're going to be saying really relevant to me? And it was one of the most meaningful gatherings that I had all last year. And so just being open-minded and curious, a lot of times you can find yourself in an environment where you can be impacted and have an impact.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And that's why I said, first be clear in your own mind what you're doing when you're talking about working a room versus networking. And that's the key right there, is that just, you know, being able to open your mind up to the difference, the oddity of it, the awkwardness of it. It's okay. Because you could come out of it, like you say, with some very valuable exchange. And I'm hoping that through today's session, you all have definitely found some new people that you've met, some interesting people you've met, hopefully exchanged information, and now you have more new people you met to add on to I think there's a contest going on or something like that. Is there a contest going on? I thought it was, but maybe not. Okay. Never mind.
Okay, if on your way out the door, if you would be sure to fill out a survey, or when that link comes to you after this conference, we'd really appreciate it. In the meantime, please, let's hear it one more time for Denise and her time with us today.